So we're giving the Bravo Port case, and first of all, we are to present the executive summary. We identify a situation, complication, and a question. First of all, situation in the port is that there's an increasing workload on the staff, leading to stressful situations and stressful work conditions, which is of course not ideal for a workplace. Secondly, you have the complication faced by the engineering manager Janet. She's restricted by only being able to hire local Singaporean staff. So that has raised one question in our mind: how can the Bravo Port adapt their department structure to the increasing demand for efficiency in the future of trade, while simultaneously attracting Singaporean talents? So we split this up to two initial problems. First of all, the department structure, and secondly, the recruitment challenge. With regards to the department, we want to know how the department should somehow be restructured in order to actually cope with the current and future demand. Secondly, the recruitment challenge. How are Jan and her colleagues to actually attract the local quality staff for this exciting maintenance department? So we identified two main levers to do this. First of all, we want to launch an algorithm to streamline the allocation of work tasks in the port. It will significantly decrease the time spent on actually identifying problems and solving these. Secondly, we want to engage in a corporate partnership to increase the educational level of the staff in the port. So to take you through some key figures, here we've got a table showing that the total cargo throughput is increasing and has been for the last many years. This is expected to continue, and therefore we of course need to adapt this strategy now. Secondly, we see that the distribution of work tasks during the normal shift hours is highly based on breakdown issues. So we see that we have a lot of technicians, both normal and senior, having to deal with these breakdown issues instead of actually doing preventive stuff. So to sum up, we see that Bravo Port has to come up with some initiatives to actually tackle the growing workload, and both now and in the future. And Sal will take you through.
To give a better understanding of what's actually going wrong, we've taken a close look at the case and outlined the workflow. On the right hand side, you can see that the planning of a shift is quite straightforward. There are preemptive strikes against maintenance and corrective tasks to be done. But the reality looks a lot different. There are much more tasks to be done, and that's because there are breakdowns occurring in the port which require special attention by the staff. How bad the situation actually is highlighted by, for example, only 1 out of 5 preemptive maintenance tasks gets completed. We see that the majority of the time of the staff is actually spent on these breakdowns, putting out fires throughout the port. And of course, that results into a high workload and also a little bit chaotic distribution of tasks. How severe that scenario actually is reflects in the case, where it states that people are coming in after hours to help out their colleagues and also draw upon other colleagues, friends via social media to create some more input how to solve tasks efficiently. I want to highlight that especially in the breakdown scenario 2, very high level knowledge and skilled engineers were needed to solve the task. Why that's important, we'll show later on. Actually, we've gone one step further and even more analyzed where the efficiencies lie, and it becomes very, very obvious that all staff members spend the majority of the time on the breakdown handlings. Two conclusions arise from that. Firstly, Janet proposes simply, we're just going to hire more staff and then we'll be able to address all the tasks appropriately, because she sees that the workload is too high and also that extra staff can help them to a reduction. On the other side of the coin, we see that people are leaving the company for two reasons. Firstly, because they are overworked, and secondly, because they don't feel rewarded for the hard work they've put in. So we propose a quite drastic change to the company structure to solve that. We cut down the planning and support department, and we cut out the project department, and instead implement a IT-driven maintenance task department where all the shifts are allocated under, and we create a SWAT team with the highest skilled engineers of the company. So if there's the case, like with the breakdown 2, that skilled knowledge is needed to solve the problem in fast time, we have people on standby rushing in. How that's not only helping the company reducing workload, but actually making more revenue in the long term, we'll now go further into.
So in order to address these problems, to make a solution for them, we have these 5 different solutions to actually solve these problems. These different solutions we are benchmarking on different criteria, and as you can see, they are performing really different. We have tried to put focus on operational impact and also employee satisfaction, as these are those mentioned as the most important in the case. And at the end of the day, we came up with 2 solutions, which are the education partnership and the algorithm allocation. So the education partnership is basically an idea where you team up with a business partner. We found that it could potentially be port technical services, where they have a education platform themselves. They do education services. They also do consulting services within addressing problems in the port, but that doesn't matter for this case. By doing this, you will find that there are different positive outcomes, and one of them is that the internal staff will be more satisfied with the workload. They will be more satisfied in their job. And also you will see that the time of employment will be longer, because there will be a development for each employee in the company, and they will be able to see their own career expanding. Also, this will encourage to hire locals, because they can be part of a experience and education program. And also, last of all, it could also be a basis of potential recruitment, where people because there are customers going to pay for this service as well, and they could potentially be recruited later on. Secondly, we have the working resource, where we looked on how it could ease up the workload, and we found that this will create a higher flexibility in operation, and also it will stress the employees less. Means that when we have tasks where there are breakdowns coming unexpected, but that's how it is always, we will see that the flexibility is really high, and you'll be able to find these SWAT teams, as Sawa mentioned earlier. And last of all, we have this potential revenue stream, where we have now created an education which is quite unique in the industry. You will be able to sell the labor that the people that you're educating and is employee in your company. You'll be able to sell them as a service to nearby ports. Also, non-employees, as I mentioned earlier, they will have to pay for the service, and that will be another revenue stream. And also, by this, you will build up a strong reputation in the industry and be a peer leader. So to sum it up, you will be internal and external attractive. You will see increase in operational efficiency, and you will be a new market leader, or potentially be a new market leader, by developing this new service. Secondly, we have the algorithm allocation-based solution, where we see that when a breakdown happens, the system will staff will report into the system how to allocate resources, how to allocate staff, equipment. It will come up with a solution to the specific problems, to a specific problem, and you'll know how much time you need, how much staff you need, and also how much tools you need. When the breakdown is solved and you found a solution for it, you put into the system how it was solved, how many hours you used in it, and by this the algorithm will, in a future perspective, create more, what you can say, clever decisions, more correct decisions, which will save you money, time, and allocate your employees the right places. By this, you eliminate all standards, standard processes as we used to. For example, planning, and also the technical department. They will be the planning department and also the service department will now be more eliminated due to the algorithm will take all the decisions for these departments.
Yes, and in order to actually realize all of these key initiatives we propose now, we would do that in a twofold implementation plan based on planning and execution of these initiatives. These are based on 3 key initiatives, or 3 must-win battles, so to say. First of all, we have to have planning efficiently, so we'll do that in the same way for both tasks. This must be done very swiftly because we want to introduce this as fast as possible, because we know that our employees are under, or private ports employees are under a lot of pressure, under a lot of stress, so we want to release them from that as quickly as possible, of course. Second must-win battle is that we should continue our education of the staff through launching the algorithm, of course, and initiate the education of our own staff initially. Third must-win battle is that we should actually try and suggest a monetization of all of these initiatives, as we see great potential within the expansion of the education platform, the education partnership, so to say, to educate externally and charge a fee for that, as William said. Great potential revenue stream lying there. Secondly, for the algorithmic allocation, we'd also have a potential revenue stream there lying in the continuous expansion, and in that way expanding the database we've got from our experiences and from external experiences that we've gathered. We can in some way monetize this gathered data by selling our platform, so to say, to external clients. We see that as a great opportunity.
Even before we move into the monetization stage of the algorithm, the cost savings are given for the company. Of course, we are aware that the case given could be a best or worst case scenario in the report. Hence, we've done an analysis on all 3 scenarios. We see that in the best case scenario, you almost save 80% on the time you spend on fixing acute issues. In the worst case scenario, you still save enough time to basically free up 1 employee on each shift. That means the workload is reduced and the stress is reduced as well. In the beginning, we've seen that the pressure on the organization keeps continuing and keeps rising, while the inefficiencies within the organization are at a stage where they need to be addressed right now. We've come up with 2 solutions: the educational partnership, where we attract new talent to the company and create a further revenue stream for the future, and the algorithm-driven maintenance handling, which changes the company structure incrementally. We streamline the company down to the maintenance tasks, the people on port sites being directed by an algorithm instead of traditional planning and maintenance departments, and we take the very key asset of the company, the high-skilled workers and their knowledge, outside of the routine processes and create a standby workforce, which in peak times we deploy to solve ad hoc issues, and in low demand times we can outsource to other ports to earn additional revenue. In conclusion, we favor working smarter, not harder, and incentivizing people to come into the company by making us long-term more attractive.